I mean, I had already signed a letter of intent, a conference letter of intent to play college football at the University of Arizona. And wrestling came on one day. I had not seen any wrestling since my father's death. And this is the wrestling out of Amarillo, Texas. They're coming to Tucson to have a show. They were kind of experimenting is what they were trying to do to see if they could get enough, enough of a crowd interest to start coming to Arizona and branch out a little bit. So anyway, I go to Tucson. I haven't seen the Funks since my father's death, and I'm a senior in high school. I've signed a letter of intent to play at Arizona, which is in Tucson, and there are the Funks. And Terry says, "Hey Teddy, it's good to see you, man." He says, "I tell you what," he says, "if you want to," he says, "I can make arrangements for you to take a recruiting trip to West Texas State. And even if you know what you're going to do, just take the trip because the trip is free, but it gives you an opportunity to come back and visit with us and a lot of your old friends." And so I said, "Man, that sounds great." And I'm going to tell you what, though, it's all it took. I got back to Amarillo. I saw a lot of people that I'd known that I hadn't seen in a very long time, and so everybody just wondered, why did you choose West Texas State University over the University of Arizona? And what I never told anybody was it wasn't about football. It was about wrestling. I chose West Texas State because I knew West Texas State would put me closer, to the Funk family and back within arm's reach of the wrestling industry. And all my life, that's what I wanted to do. As a matter of fact, I was on a scholarship at West Texas State, full scholarship. But in the summer, most of the guys went home. I didn't. I stayed there, and I think one summer I roofed houses. Oh my gosh, horrible. But anyway, the summer between my sophomore and junior year, I refereed. The NCAA, there used to be a ruling where if you competed professionally in any sport, you lost your amateur status altogether. But then they changed it to where you could compete in one sport as an amateur and still maintain your status as I'm sorry, you could compete as a professional in one sport and be paid, and only you would only use your status as an amateur in that sport. In other words,
Ah,
you could play football, you know, if you played, obviously I wouldn't play professionally, but if, like professional wrestling, that would mean I couldn't wrestle as an amateur anymore because I got paid. But anyway, uh, that summer between my sophomore and junior year, I refereed. My summer job was I was a referee in the Amarillo territory every night, 7 days a week, and I don't know how much you know about wrestling, Marcus, but I'm telling you, being the third man in the ring, you'll learn a lot because you're right there. You're watching what they're doing and you're hearing what they're saying to one another, and then I got a lot of encouragement too. And they said, "Gosh, they said, everybody called me Teddy." They said, "Gosh, Teddy, man, you picked this up quick." I said, "Well, this is my life. I grew up in this, but I was watching and I was learning." And so, uh, and here's the thing. The summer after my junior year, Dick Murdoch, uh, who's a guy that a lot of people know, and Dick Murdoch was a very good wrestler, very good wrestler. He was going, and he told me, he said, "Teddy, I'm going to work for Bill Watts." He's now a partner with a guy named Leroy McGurk, and the territory is all of Oklahoma and Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. And they call it Mid South. And I'm going to go to work for him. He says, "You know what? If you want, I'll talk to Bill Watts, and if you want to get your feet wet this summer, you can." So because now I could go compete in professional wrestling and get paid and still maintain my amateur status in football.
oh
And
man.
so that's what I did. I went and it was really as good as it turned out. I mean, but the bad thing was when the summer came to an end, I had had so much. I was so ready. I said, I'm not going back. I said, why do I, and oh my gosh. I mean, I remember Terry Funk and his wife, Vicky, were, kind of like second parents to me, and Terry was tough. Teddy, you got 1 year left. Go back and finish college. You got 1 year left. But his wife, Vicky was, well, she was really mad. And I said, I'm not doing it. I said, look, I grew up in this business. This is why I came back to West Texas State, is that I wanted to be around wrestling. And I said, because everything has gone so well this summer, and I'm getting so much encouragement from so many people, I know this is going to be my life. So, one more year, but now as a guy who's almost 70, I look back at that and go, you idiot. I mean, I had 1 year left to go. And I think about it now. What if I had gotten hurt?
Oh
And a
man.
lot of guys get hurt and they can't wrestle anymore. Or yeah, what if something like that had happened and you didn't finish? You could have had that degree, and if you got hurt, you could have then gone and been a coach and a teacher. Uh, but by the grace of God, you know what? God takes care of fools, and I was a fool.
Well, and when you're at that age, I know at least for me, somebody could have even probably come to you and said, "Hey, Ted, what if you get hurt?" And at that age, it's the answer is like, "I'm not gonna get hurt."
Yeah, yeah,
So it's
that
just
was pretty
no.
much.
But hey, look, everything ended well, and I mean, it's the start of this love affair you have with wrestling.